stress is your like alarm clock saying, hey, you need to check something out and see if there's something you're super attached to here, or just believing that isn't even necessarily true, and then question the thought that is running at that time. And what happens is you can loosen that attachment. You may find that you're just much easier feeling as a result of that. And so one of the ways that I love to do inner work, this is kind of my background in training, is something called the work of Byron Katie, which is a simple 4 questions you can ask yourself anytime you get stressed, and just be like, okay, is that really true that, he doesn't like me or whatever? And then, and then just like, what are you like going through these questions? Like, how do you react when you're believing that? And who would you be if you weren't believing that? And giving yourself some space there, and then playing with opposites and seeing like, okay, well, it could be that I'm not liking myself here, or I'm not liking him, or maybe he is liking me, and finding examples of how that could be true. So this like loosens the stress. And the way I like to do that is, I always say there's like a wise part of me and there's a stuck part of me.
Mm.
And the wise part of me doesn't need that kind of work. It already read all the books, it knows all the, the perspective. But the stuck part of me, it's more emotional, and that part needs to be held, needs to be met with understanding, and it needs to be given questions like this for it to loosen its own stress. In other words, we're not pushing from above onto our emotions like, you need to change, smarten up, nothing like that. It's more like, where are you at and what's going on? I want to hear, first of all. And then second of all, I want you to play around and see if there's anything more that you might see, that maybe we're missing. So it's very respectful of
Mhm.
the inner part of us.
And do you like when you're chatting with like the emotional part of it? Because like what came up for me is like, I don't know, is it called parts work or I don't know. I'm not entirely, it might, parts or entirely, where you're like, I'm like, okay, is this is this like, 13-year-old me? Is this like triggering that, or is it like just something that's alive and present in the moment,
Yeah.
that sort of thing? Or
It's like, it almost doesn't matter, but you will notice that, oh, that does seem very familiar. That is kind of like 13-year-old me, or that is, but you don't have to name it. It's just,
Mm,
there's a part of me that is angry, or there's a part of me that is sad, or there's a part of me that is just wanting something, and it's just like desperate. Like, so I want to have that part come out of me and have a safe space to feel like, in an uncensored way, it can share what it actually thinks.
mm,
Because we're usually trying to push that stuff down. We're trying to say, "Oh no, you don't really feel that way. You don't really care. I'm cool and collected and all this." But inside, there's a part saying, I want it. I need it. So I want that part to come out, and I give the mic to that part so that it can actually have a chance, first of all, just to be heard. And then second of all, we're like, okay, I hear you. Now, how's that working for you? Like, is there any other perspective that might open if you explore? So
mhm.
that's it.
So it's like sounds to me like a little bit of like an acceptance and then maybe shifting to something that's more supportive potentially.
Yes.
Okay.
That's why I say respectful, because we kind of know intellectually where we probably should go, or where the balance point might be, and so we may start with a motive to try to like shift ourselves or change ourselves, but that's not really the process. The process is, I want to see where you're at, and if that's stuck, I want to really be with your stuckness, and I really want to allow space for that. And then if and when you're ready, let's step into questioning it. And then if you find something, wonderful. And if you don't, I also respect that. So there's no push in it at all. And that gives a really safe space for emotion, and emotional work. And what I find is like, the cooperation of my inner part is like really high. And then it ends up discovering amazing discoveries that actually end up lining up with the book learning and everything anyway. But
Hmm.
it discovered it on its own, and that changes the experience, and that changes the actual life. And